with our luck, it would be that we bring the Truck Series back into Wednesday Night Dash, and then iRacing announced for the first time ever they're updating how the truck drives. Of course, this is not the first time something like that has happened. And that we'll get into that.
4 races left.
4 races left, yes, including the road course. We've got some Detroit. We've got some Kyle Larson waiver drama. We've got some Formula One news. A lot of stuff to talk about. This is FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Flook.
I'm Eric Richardson.
And Kyle Larson got his waiver.
Yeah, apparently it was a tough decision for NASCAR.
Tough decision, yeah. The rumor is that they were upset at Rick Hendrick over their quote last minute decision to prioritize the 500 over the 600, and that's not how they understood it would be if there was rain. But I think that's bogus. Like, there was so much attention on this. That was probably the biggest story of the month.
Yeah, viewerships were up on both races. It was the talk out of both races. The amount of airtime Kyle Larson got during the 500 and leading up was far and away above anybody else.
The amount of people lining up for autographs for Kyle Larson at Indy, it was a big deal. It was
it was huge.
It was and you've got people that probably haven't been watching IndyCar that are NASCAR fans checking out IndyCar. You've got IndyCar fans probably tuning into NASCAR, although that wasn't a great timing because of the weather not cooperating. Hope it happens again next year.
I do too. And hopefully we see some other drivers try it. But I think it falls right in line. NASCAR promotes Ricky Stenhouse's punch at Busch, but then fines him. Then they go and turn around and, well, it was a tough decision, but market
the crap out of your best driver.
He did try to get here. He flew. He was changed. He was ready to go, but unfortunately, weather stopped our race. You promoted the double. Yeah. So come on.
So much double talk coming out of NASCAR.
And a chance at the potential series champion, and you're going to say no?
Yeah, no.
Right. You're going to lose your entire fan base. Because even his rivals are like, yeah, let him in.
Why would in? It's like, and a lot of them are like, I respect, I respect the crap out of Kyle as a person and a driver, and they wanted them to do this. And now there's people that are like, yeah, if I had an opportunity, I would totally do the double. And wasn't it Newgarden who said he'd love to do the 600 and do the double himself?
Yeah. I know Kyle Busch wants to, and
Kyle Busch wants to. I think that would be great. I mean, it's an Iron Man situation, but could you imagine that if you have like 3 or 4 drivers a year doing the double from both sides? Like, you have IndyCar drivers going and driving at Charlotte.
Yeah, how cool would that be? You've basically had the NASCAR guys doing it. Well, now you don't necessarily have the IndyCar drivers going. It's switched. It's like Andretti was an Indy guy, Stewart was an Indy guy, Robbie Gordon was an Indy guy, and they transitioned over to stock car.
Yeah.
We don't really have stock car drivers. They're the ones that are coming over now.
Yeah, so going the other way. I mean, Kurt Busch. I mean, Tony Stewart was an IndyCar guy when he was originally.
Yeah, he started off as an open wheel racer. That's when I got to meet him. Before he was Tony Stewart.
Before, yeah. And I think we covered this last week. No more Stewart Haas.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just Gene and Tony, I guess, had it up to here with NASCAR, and Tony's loving his NHRA life, and Gene Haas apparently enjoys being the worst team in Formula One. A lot more money in that, I'm sure.
I read an article too that it's plausible. There's just so much money that they have to spend and don't see back, kind of mirroring what Hendrick says. And here's like, you know what? It's not worth it anymore.
It's not sustainable.
Let's spend our money elsewhere. Because you are almost 100% reliant on sponsorships to break even or have minimal losses.
Yeah. And I mean, when you have an organization like Hendrick that says they haven't made money on their NASCAR program in 10 years, that's a problem. Yeah, your most successful most probably well-known team, most wins, and you're telling me they're bleeding money. I mean, it's nice that, like, I kind of, this is how I envision sports ownership, whether it's owning NASCARs or baseball or Major League Baseball. Like, sports should be a passion project of the owners. It's like the owners that are not making money are often the ones who are most successful because they're investing back in the team, in the fan experience, and creating an enjoyable product on the field. And the revenue comes with it. These are the teams that go to the Super Bowl. They're going to the World Series year after year. They're investing in their teams. Like, you don't see any of these penny pinchers succeeding very often. And when they do, like, let's look at the Marlins, the Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins. The Marlins would be penny pinchers. They would build off of has-beens and prospects. They build a competitive team, and then when they'd be successful, they'd trade all the pieces away and start all over again.
They did it twice.
They did it twice, and they almost did it a third time a few years ago, last year, 2 years ago, whatever that was.
Oh, it's so crazy how NASCAR is set up too. And another article, Dale Jr. talking about how he doesn't want to just sink money into the charter and basically have it be dead money.
It just,
you can't just invest and sell, and it's not a good look that he wants to do to the Earnhardt brand.
Nope.
He's like, there's no point. Let's go race to win, not lose money.
No, and you want these groups to be competitive. I mean, Formula One, there's a ton of money dumped into these teams, but they're prohibited by a cost cap. And that's where, the Williams now have money, but they can't spend it because they're capped. It's going to take time to build them up. I mean, it's helped them that, a little bit that Mercedes is kind of fallen back to earth. Red Bull is still dominating, but they're showing cracks in the armor a little bit. It's just, you've got two completely different methodologies for how it is, but they're both like, they have their struggles. Like, you make it impossible to operate in NASCAR, but in Formula One, you got the money, but you can't spend it.
Well, and unlike other sports, your team goes out, sells out the stadium. That's revenue coming into the team.
Yeah.
You're not relying on sponsorship dollars, where NASCAR, those seats are sold out, and it's such a terrible split between NASCAR and the teams that they essentially see nothing.
The other problem too, you've got a major change in how people are viewing. And it was very simple before. You'd have your cable subscription, and then people decided, oh, I'm going to get away from cable, and then we're going to do this, Hulu or YouTube Live, YouTube TV. And and then it's like, I got Peacock and Paramount Plus, and next thing you know, you have so much Netflix, and you got so many a la carte channels that everyone has this plus. And then you got people coming in like CNN Plus, and they abandoned the CNN Plus after like a month. It was bad. total disaster. But for the longest time, like, if you were able to like look at the breakdown, because when your cable company or your television provider, they're paying money to put these channels on their lineup. And you look at the ones that cost the most, and it's typically your regional sports channel. And I believe the ESPN family of networks are your highest two channels on your package. And you see teams like, look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers got this absurd regional sports channel from Sportsnet LA or whatever, Sportsnet, whoever that, the cable company is there. They paid them just ungodly sum of money over a long term. That's never going to happen again. The Cubs tried the same thing. They tried to start their own channel. It's been okay, but it's not been the cash cow. The Yankees had the Yes Network and made a ton of money off the Yes Network. That model is outdated.
Mhm.
And honestly, with these teams, like you look at the Marlins had like 2,000 people show up at a game and they didn't care because the same money was coming in regardless from their TV deal. So, like, they value the person staying out of the stadium and watching on TV more than they value the person actually coming to the game. And now we're at this point where you've got cord cutters, you've got people that are, they're just burnt out on blah, 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 plus and this and Peacock and all these other streaming platforms that they're just saying, screw it. And now you've got this shift. Now it's coming back. And look at the Phoenix Suns, for example. They kind of, I don't know if they were the first, but the Phoenix Suns, when they ripped up their deal with Bally Sports, which is you could talk about that all day and that
That's a
disaster.
whole other show.
That was, and so the Suns ripped up their deal with Bally Sports. Bally Sports Arizona doesn't even exist anymore. The Diamondbacks broke. They just go off. You can go and watch it on cable, or you can buy a subscription and pay like $80 for the whole year and to watch the Diamondbacks here in Arizona. But the Suns said, you know what? Let's do what happened in the 90s. They went and they contacted the local CBS affiliate here and the parent company of the CBS affiliate and signed a deal with them. So there's like the Suns are on an antenna channel here in Phoenix that anybody can watch it. The second thing that they did was the Suns put a promotion where they gave out like, I don't know how many thousands of antennas. All you had to do was go to the website. It was like suns.com/antenna or something like that. Fill out your name and address, and they'd mail you an antenna to hook to your TV. You have the digital tuner built into all modern flat screen televisions that you just have to hook an antenna up there. And guess what? They gave you the antenna. You're watching the Suns game on over-the-air antenna television. And they said, for the amount of money we're losing on this deal, or losing, so to speak, we are gaining in community involvement. We're gaining because anyone can watch the Suns now. They don't have to have a cable subscription. They don't have to pay their, the $15 a month out of your cable subscription, your cable bill was going to your regional sports channel or something to that effect. But now it's like they
Well, you get
realized it
that money
early.
back
Yeah.
by gaining additional fans, and then you start selling jerseys and T-shirts and hats, and
Yeah, you got the merchandise,
there you
you've
go.
got more sponsors coming in and people are loyal to the sponsors. More, there's more competition for sponsors. It just, they were ahead of the ball. And then NASCAR comes along and signs some absurd TV deal between Fox and Amazon Prime and Turner, TNT, Turner Sport. It was TNT, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I hate this whole setup they have now.
And it's so confusing. It's going to be difficult to follow. But then you have the Xfinity series, which this is cool because, like, right now, the exposure on TV for the Xfinity series is pretty limited. Now, with it being on the CW, which is, again, an antenna based station that anyone with an antenna can watch. And it's like, let's be honest here. You can buy an antenna for your television for like $7 on Amazon. I mean, it's not a huge investment. One time $7, and you can watch the Xfinity series on the CW. Everybody has a CW. Um, Most of your cable and Hulu and YouTube have the CW on it, so you're going to be able to watch Xfinity series races pretty easily. You're not going to have to worry about the contract expired, we couldn't agree to new terms, and call blah 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 and tell them be reasonable and get back on Direct TV or Hulu or whoever it is.
Now it's this thing out in Colorado with Altitude and Root Sports trying to get the Avalanche
Oh,
on TV.
I mean, you remember when the Big Ten Network was kind of the start of this. I mean, we had the regional sports channels, and there was some various experiments where, in the '90s, the Chicago Blackhawks basically tried to. They were a little ahead of the time with this, and they tried to do their games on pay-per-view. So you could actually like call for like $3 and order the Blackhawks game. You call the cable company, you order the Blackhawks game, you turn it on and watch it. It was a total disaster. It didn't work. It lasted like 1 year, maybe. but it's just way too much. Like it's just there's so much fatigue with television now, and people aren't watching. And
Well, and a really big shift happened too in that summer of 2020 where nothing was going, and a lot of people learned that, hey, we don't necessarily need all of these sports and
yeah,
things. And there was a big loss in fan base too.
I mean, we didn't have any sports on TV between like mid late March and like late May at all.
I was at a hockey game March 6th, and it wasn't too long after that everything
Yeah, I mean,
just
remember
went out.
the kind of the shutdown point was there was the NBA game in Oklahoma City where I think they're playing the Utah Jazz,
Yeah.
and one of the players, and I
It
shouldn't
was
know who this
Rudy Gobert.
Brody Gobert, that's who it was. The day before was making fun of COVID and was like slapping all the microphones, and then the next day he tests positive, and that was like the NBA shut down. They were like the first to go.
The stands were full and they're ready to tip, and then run down
Nope,
like, no, no, no.
nope, they canceled it, and the last sporting event that was on TV was Australian rules football. And I remember one night watching, it was like at 10 o'clock Pacific time on a Friday night. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I feel like I've watched this before when I was younger. I feel like I've seen this before, but I don't really remember much about it. And I was just so fascinated by this. And I'm like, this is great. Hey,
Fun
if
to
they're going to
watch.
do,
Couldn't tell you the rules or understand what's happening,
I
but
mean,
they go
I
back and
actually
forth and hit each
understand it
other.
now. They still do it on FS1 and FS2 on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey, this is awesome. Yeah, it's like, okay, we got at least something to watch. And then that game finishes, and then the AFL says, nope, we're done now too. And now we
Yeah.
have nothing.
Then eventually we got NASCAR on iRacing.
Yeah, we had to settle for NASCAR and iRacing, and that eventually evolved into what we're doing today. So NASCAR, COVID, NASCAR, and iRacing turned into this today. So it's crazy how the path of life.
Yeah, just lots of madness on the NASCAR side of things. Just this whole deal with Kyle Larson and these TV contracts and
Just so much greed. I mean, it's
yes.
greed. It's like, how much money do you need?
And put that money back into the team's NASCAR. Like,
Put
you're gonna get more out of it. You're gonna get better racing. You're gonna get more rivalries. You're gonna end up making more money.
put it back into
You
the
gotta
teams, make the
so
product
the
better,
adage, you
make
gotta spend money to make money.
make the product affordable. I mean, I was looking at championship weekend ticket prices because we go to the Xfinity race, and they still do free kids tickets. Don't get me wrong. The truck, the Xfinity, NASCAR does a great job with that to get people in the stands there. And it was a decently full stands last year for the Xfinity championship race. I mean, it was maybe 60% full, but if you look at the average Xfinity race on television during the year, we're close.
Yeah. It's
But
kind of you go to a restaurant, you try to sell your appetizers the same price as an entree, you're not buying it. You make it pretty cheap and make it a good sized appetizer, you're gonna sell a ton of them.
yeah,
And you may only make 50 cents on it, but you're giving your dining experience so much better.
and people
You're
go
gonna
to the
make
event.
more.
They go to the event, then they're going to watch on TV the following weeks. It's like, this is like basic economics of sports. Like, I don't understand why I have to say this out loud. It's just these people that plan these, and it's not just NASCAR. I mean, you look at the average cost of an NBA ticket, an NFL. I mean, NFL tickets are absurd,
Yeah.
absolutely absurd.
I've
But
not
the
paid
thing,
for an NFL ticket in a few years.
but the problem is like the NFL, or they're selling out stadiums charging what they are. So it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But you look at Major League Baseball, and their attendance is up, but it's overall from the last 20 years, it's down. You have NASCAR that are trying to shrink the tracks full. They're demolishing bleachers and taking out sections. And you look at like Dover, for example, Dover's capacity used to be much higher.
Yeah, they've taken stuff out.
I mean, wasn't Dover like, I mean, did they have bleachers like surrounding the entire track?
Um, Never on the backstretch. They stopped somewhere in turn two and wrapped around to four. I was there in 2003.
All right. So in 2001, Dover Motor Speedway's capacity was 135,000.
I was gonna say
Today,
110.
today it is 58,500, and they're not filling that place.
No. I remember you used to fill Bristol and it's 165,000.
Yeah, you'd fill Bristol. I mean, Phoenix Raceway shrunk their capacity quite a bit from when you were here in 2016. The old front stretch, which is now the stretch between 2 and 3, you know, there used to be a whole row of bleachers there, and they moved everybody to the south part, to the new, you know, the turn 4, turn 1 dog leg section, and added a section on the end. But I mean, Phoenix Raceway's down to like 60,000. It was more than that before.
And I like how they do the word hurdles of, well, there's really 80,000 people here. They're just spread out, so it looks like no one's here, but that's still a whole lot. Well, yeah,
Okay,
to the average viewer,
capacity was reduced to 42,000. So I think it was 60 before. 65,000 before. Yeah, it went from 65,000 to 42,000. And yeah, they're filling those races, but like you get 42,000 people to a Cubs game.
we got 40,000 plus people to a Rockies game.
Yeah. It's like, you know, this is your crown jewel event to end the season, and you're getting 42,000 people there, plus, you know, whoever's hanging out in the infield, plus whoever's sitting over, you know, there's RV camping, and then there's people that sit on the hill on the other side. But I mean, that's not a lot. There's maybe, for the Cup finale, there's maybe 45,000 people there. I mean, they're still selling out Daytona, or coming close to selling out Daytona, which, what's Daytona, 100, 105 or something like that?
Yeah, it's actually not the biggest NASCAR track.
101,500. I was close.
Well, you reduce the ticket prices, not just in racing, but in other sports. Instead of a baseball game having to pay $50 to get in and $20 to park, and by the time you actually get there, then you get something to eat.
$10 for a hot dog, $17 for a beer.
You make prices actually affordable. You know what? I'm gonna buy a shirt. I'm gonna get a program at a race.
I haven't bought a
You're
program
gonna,
at a race in years. I used to like buy
I
one every
mean,
time I went to the 500.
I got one from a couple of years prior. It was on sale for $5. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll get it. Maybe it's $2. Old stock, get rid of it.
But yeah, it's just,
You make
I
more money by making it more affordable.
I just don't understand the thought process. And oh, it's far more complicated than that. No, it's not. You make it affordable, people, and you put some effort into marketing, and you make a competitive product, which, you know, okay, with the car at a place like Phoenix and other tracks, it's a little difficult. But um
Well, you know, different sport, but one of my favorite places to go to is actually Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. Although I will say I hate the Red Wings. But you
Detroit
know what?
sucks. Detroit. Yeah.
Their food prices are just like if you go anywhere out, there's a good like burrito place I like going to. It's $10.
Not horrible for an arena. I was about to say, what are your
No,
choices? Hot dogs and Little Caesars?
they have quite a few good places in there. But
But
you
can
do
you
the
at least
same
get a
thing.
Little Caesars pizza in there?
Yeah, you can.
Of course, you have to.
But you go to other stadiums, that same thing, it's going to cost you $20.
I mean, I know Little Caesars is not a like, you know, it's not a high-end pizzeria, you know, mom and pop place, but for, you know, for what it is, it's not bad.
It's huge out here in Michigan.
I mean, if I had the choice of going to Little Caesars and getting the $5 hot and it's still $5, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe 5.99.
Whatever.
It's cheap.
You go get your choice between a hot and ready pizza or going out to your local grocery store and getting a frozen pizza from one of those brands.
I'll
I'm
take
gonna
Little
pick.
Caesars all day.
I'll pick Little Caesars any day. Although if Red Baron, DiGiorno, any one of those guys want to sponsor us, my opinion can be very easily swayed. I do say the red.
Touch more difficult. I'll have a couple of stipulations, but yes, I will sponsor you.
Do you remember Red Baron pizza though?
Oh yeah, it's good.
Red Baron was probably the best of the frozen pizzas.
Yeah, I think that's one I got most often, slightly more than Tombstone.
Yeah, there's Red Baron, there's Tombstone, there was DiGiorno.
Yeah, Jack's.
Jack's. I forgot about Jack's.
There's so many of them out there now.
We're gonna do a top 5 frozen pizzas. Oh yeah, and then there was Totino's, and you get your pizza rolls.
I ate way too many of those as a child.
Yeah. Burnt, if you didn't burn your tongue eating a Totino's pizza roll, you weren't living.
You either burnt your mouth or you bit into a rock because it was still frozen.
Yeah.
It's like Hot Pockets. It's either scalding hot or
ice.
frozen.
Yeah.
There's no warm.
Look at here. Oh, maybe I have to get a Red Baron pizza and remind myself. Probably now I try that, like, okay.
I ate this.
When it comes to pizza, I'm not particularly like stubborn. Pizza for me is pizza. I mean, there's some that are better than others.
There's pizzas I like, and there's some that I don't. I'm picky on it. I like a lot of pizza.
When I as most people know who listen to this, I lived in Chicago for almost a decade, and everyone knows Chicago style pizza that's like 2 inches thick from Giordano's or Lou Malnati's or Chino's East. Those are good.
Yeah, I was gonna say all 3 of those are good.
Those are good. Those are good, but it's just like it's kind of like tourist pizza because everyone, they want to come to Chicago and they want to have their Giordano's, but it's like, does anybody like who lives there actually be like, I'm gonna go have Giordano's tonight? I don't think they do.
When I go down to Florida, I think one night we're getting Giordano's.
I mean, yeah, it's a tourist pizza. It's a tourist pizza. But actually, we have Lou Malnati's here in Arizona.
Yeah, I went there the last time I was in Chicago.
And it's good. I do enjoy it. But after I moved here, I said I think the best part about leaving Chicago will be the fact that I can get New York pizza somewhere now. And I took so much crap from people over that comment. And one person that they would threaten to beat me up if I ever came back to Chicago again. And it was just like, wow, that really struck a nerve. It's like, don't lie. You don't go to Giordano's. Like, you go to Giordano's when your relatives come to visit or a friend comes into town. That's the only time you go. It is good, but it's also really expensive.
I'll test your Chicago here. The one pizza place I like going to up there was Bocce's.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Bocce's.
Slices that big too.
Yeah, and it was like $3 and you get a drink with it too. There used to be one right next to Wrigley Field.
Yep.
And then they stopped. Yeah, and then they got kicked out because they stopped paying their rent. But yeah, I love Bocce's. That place was awesome. You need some time to sober up before getting on the L to head back, and you'd walk up it was in like a house. Like you'd go up the stairs into this house, and it was like the first floor of a house is this place.
Walk up to the window and go.
And yeah, it's like you walk through the living room, and they have like a stand of they have the pizza oven in the where the kitchen of this house was. But like the living room is like the display where they have the individual slices. I'll take a pepperoni. and they
Yeah,
give
I
you
like
like,
options.
yeah, they give you like a Dixie cup, like a tall Dixie cup, and a and your slice of pizza, and it was like 350 or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Man,
awesome.
yeah, I love that place.
So man, we've talked NASCAR ticket prices, TVs,
Pizza.
pizza, and we haven't even touched Formula One and IndyCar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Checo, he's staying in, and we haven't touched the iRacing update yet.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, he's sticking around, and I kind of figured that was going to happen.
Yeah, there just weren't any options.
It's like, who are you going to get that's better? That wants to come to Red Bull?
Your next best option was Carlos Sainz.
Signs or Valtteri Bottas? You put him in a decent ride again, he'll win you races.
Will he get along with Verstappen?
That's the problem.
And Carlos, there rumors are picking up that Williams may land him.
There's been a very mixed reaction to that. It's like, don't go to Williams, it's a career killer. But it's like, Williams is generally trending the right way. I mean, they've had a little bit of a setback this year, but I mean, how much of it is the car hasn't been as great versus, driver number two has been bad?
Yeah, stop spending millions of dollars on car two. You're gonna have more money to develop. So last update I saw, half the field is set for next year.
Yep.
Still got some holes to fill.
Yep.
Mercedes,
Ocon is gone.
yeah, Ocon is moving on. McLaren is set. Ferrari's set. Red Bull is now set. Unless Verstappen pulls some sort of coup. If he goes anywhere, it's going to be Mercedes.
Yeah.
Then I think you do see Carlos in the Red Bull, unless he's already committed somewhere.
I don't know. I mean, it's like 1 year later and you think you'd be locked into Audi, but you got to go with this horrible kick, Sauber, whatever you want to call it, team.
Yeah, you got
I
no. What?
saw a rumor today. Uh, uh, Zhou Guan Yu to Alpine.
Yeah, I've heard he could be on the move. Baby Bulls could be still up in the air.
Oh, you mean the AlphaTauri Red Bull Visa
Hugo
buy one get one
Boss,
free?
Cash App. Yeah, that team.
Buy one get one free.
I think I saw some too. Stroll's out. They weren't slotting him.
It's crazy that his like terms of his contract are like undisclosed. It's like you put everybody's contract info in there, and Lance Stroll's just a big question mark. It's like Lance will leave when he wants to leave, or when his dad tells him to go away.
Yeah, the expected 2025. Red Bull and Ferrari are filled. Alonso is the only one in at Aston.
Officially.
Albon is the only Williams. You got Hulkenberg back in the kick. And George has no teammate. McLaren is set, but then it's showing Alpine, Red Bull, and Haas. 6 open seats.
What's
I
it?
guess the other rumor with
Kimi
Mercedes, Kimi
Antonelli, yeah.
is probably going to be going into that seat.
Yeah, I saw they're doing a test with him in Barcelona using one of the older Mercedes cars just to see how he does with it.
And rumor was Williams was inquiring if they could get him in because he's actually not old enough to race Formula One yet. And that he was maybe rumored to take Logan Sargent's seat.
There was a clip with all this like silly season going on. There was a clip of Lewis Hamilton signing autographs at I think it was at Monaco. And one of them, he's the first hat, he signs two hats. The first hat he signs is just like a generic Formula One hat. The second hat he autographs is a Ferrari hat, and he's like smiling as he's signing the Ferrari hat. Perfect timing as he's signing the Ferrari hat. Behind him, here comes Toto on a scooter, riding right by him as he's autographing a Ferrari hat.
What did I see too? Ollie Bierman was looking possibly at a Haas seat.
Hossie, yeah, that's unfortunate for him, but
I would not want to go to that team right now, but if you want to get into Formula One, it may be your best route.
well, I mean, and you have poor Liam Lawson, man. He, I guess like Horner wants him, but Helmut Marko doesn't, and this is like one of the many things that the two of them are, on edge about. But like, he looked, he filled in, thought he kind of had that path in, and now it's like he's just sitting outside and watching.
Yeah.
Isn't he in Super Formula now?
I'm not 100% sure. And yeah, we're still going to see some shakeups, and I think there's going to be one big surprising move still. It's just been a crazy, way early, silly season.
Oh, yeah, okay. So he was in Super Formula last year. He opted not to return because he's the reserve driver and basically wants to make himself available.
And it's going to be interesting to see how it all lines up. There's going to be some shakeups and I think some new faces.
I mean, Logan Sargent, you have to assume is gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone.
I
And
think K Mag is gone too. There's a lot of people upset that he's allowed to even drive in Canada,
it's been a menace this year.
and he doesn't care.
And the thing is, like, he's like a super nice guy, and all the drivers like really like him, but that it's one of those when the helmet goes on, he becomes like a completely different person and is just an absolute menace out there. But he does have experience in IndyCar. He ran like Road America a few years ago.
I wonder if you maybe see him come over.
You have him. I mean, I don't know what Logan does. Like, it's not like he could just like bounce back to Formula Two.
I think that's what he ends up doing.
Can he go back to Formula Two?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to those rules.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure you can.
Hey, he comes over to IndyCar.
Yeah, maybe he'll go to Japan, race in Super Formula. I have to check out a Super Formula race because I don't think I've ever watched one.
Yeah, I haven't seen any. But it'd be fun to see how it goes. They are in Canada this weekend.
Theo Pocher actually raced in Super Formula early this year.
And we're going to touch
Yeah,
base with him here in a few minutes.
you got Canada this weekend. You've got Sonoma, and you've got Road America.
Yeah. Well, IndyCar was wild in Detroit. Second year back on the streets of Detroit.
That was something real quick. Do you
And
know Super Formula only goes to 5 different tracks? Suzuka, Fuji, Montegi, Sportsland, Sugo, and Autopolis. But they make a couple trips, so they actually do 3 rounds at Suzuka, 3 rounds at Fuji, and then the rest are single round. It's interesting. Anyway, yeah, we got Detroit. That was interesting.
they need to go back to Belle Isle.
Yeah,
The course just is
several
not big enough.
several drivers just expressed their displeasure. That track, it's too short, it's too narrow, it's too bumpy. Like that one turn, what was that, turn 2, I think?
Turn 3 and turn 5. No,
Yeah,
turn
5.
7.
Yeah, one of those
The main
turns,
passing
there was
zones.
always something like two guys, like if they were at speed and there were more than like two cars. You can't fit two through that opening. You can
Yeah,
barely
turn
fit
3
one.
was a mess.
I mean, that was just such a horrible disaster. I mean, this I said it last week. This race is just an expensive glorified ad for General Motors.
And
And there's
their
nothing.
building that's in the background.
It's like, oh, we're on the streets of Detroit. No one cares.
It was kind
And
of cool when we first heard it was going back there, but now seeing 2 races there, it's like, no, please go
just
away.
go
Back
go
to
back to
Bellevue.
go back to Bella.
It's so cool. I want to go to a race there.
I,
Any of the
I actually
fountain turn.
I actually know somebody that they used to live in Michigan, and when they lived in Michigan, they do sports car racing, and actually used to race his Corvette at Belle Isle. And he said it's so much fun to drive in real life.
Yeah, it's a fun place to visit.
Yeah, I think the Detroit experiment needs to end.
Yes.
And then we lost Texas, but we gained two at Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's making progress. But at that race, everybody's running into everybody. So you can't really complain too much. Except the Canapino fans
Oof.
were a little
Well,
ruthless.
Joseph Newgarden tried to kill people this weekend inadvertently.
Yeah, we kind of touched base on that. Pit road mishaps. It's a tough spot.
Have you
I would
ever
say.
seen an Indy car leave the pits with the gun still attached to the tire?
No, I'm sure I have at some point, but I can't think of anything right off. I've seen just about everything on pit road in IndyCar. At least I thought I had.
Yeah, I've never seen the car get pulled by it.
Yeah, it pulled the car right. It
It
was
pulled the car
wild.
right. It almost crushed the legs of two pit members. Was it Rasmussen's?
Lingard.
Lundgaard, that's who it was. But you had almost have two pit crew from the next pit over get their legs crushed.
I guess better than Ty Gibbs hit a crew member.
He did, and they didn't show it.
Nope. Another Fox yeah, win. Hey, yeah, Theo Porcher got into Canapino in the turn where everybody hit somebody, I think, at least once.
Nothing major.
No, kept going and wasn't terminal or anything, but apparently he was getting some pretty nasty threats. And to a point, McLaren said something. I did see a statement from Juncos. IndyCar was talking to the teams like,
Canapino issued a statement too, which I kind of laughed at
I haven't
because
looked at
he,
anything or looked into it, but apparently he was even liking
yeah,
comments
yeah,
that were
he was liking the
not good.
comments. He liked at least one or two of the posts on social media.
But then apparently there's some lost in translation stuff that they weren't really saying what they were saying. So,
Yeah, yep, something like that.
but this is not the first time. It was
No,
the
it's
same
not the
thing with
first
Cal
time.
Milot after Laguna last year, and he's not driving, unfortunately.
No, and he probably after that incident probably prevented himself from coming back. So he had a really good. I thought had a really good race at Laguna last year. But yeah, it's out of control. And
At some point, if you're IndyCar, do you kind of press them and say, hey, you got to control this? Because the last thing we need is something actually happening. And you are not one driver is bigger than the series.
especially a guy that I don't think has ever sniffed a podium.
No, he what finally made a top 10 this past weekend.
Yeah.
But you're a traditional back marker in what just shy of a year and a half in the series now.
That was such a weird signing too, because they signed him. I don't think had ever been to the United States. He had
No,
never driven anything close to that kind of a car.
Sports cars.
Yeah. I mean, that move was strictly to like, he's extremely popular in Argentina, as fans have shown. But it's like it was a weird signing, almost as weird of a signing of Tom Bloomquist to Meyer Shank, which
he's got one more race on the bench.
Oh no, I think he's sitting the rest of the year. I thought I saw today.
I thought I did see that or heard it, but wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, I thought I read that
he's at least 2 races.
Yeah, he was benched originally for 2.
Paul Tracy kicked in. Never let somebody
kick
you out of the seat that's trying to get one.
Yeah, there's an article in the Indy Star that they mutually agree to step aside.
And I knew it was for 2 that was agreed on at first.
Yeah, I mean that was a rough. Yeah, that just I don't know. It's just some of
it's a really bad turn 1 now.
The career killer right there. I mean, Bloomquist is a good like IMSA driver. He'll bounce back. Oh yeah, iRacing, they posted an update. Anything exciting?
Yeah, new Corvette, new Mustang. They changed up the trucks in the middle of our season.
Yeah.
And it is not close.
Nope, it's different. I was running comparable times, but I could feel there was no traffic around too. I am terrified to feel what that truck's going to be like in traffic, but you basically can't on 1.5 tracks. You used to be able to more or less full throttle just about the whole way. Can't do it. Can't do it anymore. I'm losing I ran a test lap at Michigan and Charlotte. And I was like 1.6, 1.8 seconds slower than my previous best lap.
Yeah, way different.
That'll be very interesting. New damage models, so we'll see how that plays out.
Couple new tracks in there.
Yeah, that Oswego track. That looks pretty cool.
Kind of a funny thing. Being week 13, they do some crazy stuff. I did a figure 8 at Irwindale in the street stocks. Explain this one. I got black flagged at the end and got a 1:20 time penalty.
For what?
For gaining time illegally. We were battling it out. I'm running in 3rd. I had 4th right behind me. Going into, I guess what, like 1 and 2 would be. Gives the old bump and run, gets me loose, and he spins me. So I get coming back around and make sure the cross traffic is cleared. Then I go finish out 3 and 4 across the finish line. I'm like, okay, I still got 4th place. He stopped on the track and passed him. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm 3rd. Results come out. I was a 7th place, 4 laps down.
What?
Yeah, I got black flag for gaining time illegally, even though I spun and came back and continued on what would have been my normal lap.
All right. Well,
some of the things in iRacing that are still
a little quirky there.
And it's a unranked figure 8 race. What do I care?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I want to try get out one of those modifieds.
I haven't driven one of those yet.
I actually bought the modified a while back. I was trying some shorter racing and the schedule's out and it's a decent. I haven't looked at the modified schedule, but those are fun.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes next week when we head back out onto the season for Sonoma.
And for those that don't remember, when we went, it was Wednesday Night Dash. It would have been season 4 in the ARCA car, or was it 4? Or was it the following year? I think it was the following year. No.
It was ARCA and they changed their paint model.
Yeah, that was 22, wasn't it? 2022 they did that.
Yes.
Yeah. So like the day that we start the ARCA season, they just out of the blue announced they're putting in an update that completely changes the ARCA paint models. So like everybody's paint for the first race was like just generic because nobody like I went into trading paints real quick and just put this just very basic quick paint together for the first race, but it was just like, wow, it's part of the reason why we don't do week 13 races typically, if we can count.
Yeah, we goofed last season.
But
It happens.
it did the USF 2000 fun season, fun race last night. It wasn't very much fun for me. I just I don't know if it's that car or if it's I just don't like Mid Ohio.
Yeah, we got two more of those coming up, Long Beach and Barber. A lot of the point behind it though is just being able to get out and run, good or bad. Just these next two especially, they're on the schedule for the Indy racing season. So just getting some track familiarity with it.
Yeah, I had a problem several times where I couldn't figure out the right braking. Uh, after you get to you go through the keyhole and you get that kind of long stretch and then that bend, and then you get to that sharp, you get the sharp right, and then there's a quick left and then another right. I could not get the timing down because I either overshot it and ended up off the track, or I feel like I lost so much time braking. Like I could not figure it out for the life of me, and it sucked. It's really terrible.
Yeah, I'm still learning road courses, but so much of it is just doing it over and over and over and then pushing it at just continuing to push until you find where that limit is. And road racing is really crazy. And the top drivers are good
Yes, they are.
because they'll do it over and over and over.
So Wednesday Night Dash will be back. Oh yeah, Saturday. Watkins Glen.
That's right. That is coming up.
We
I
need
need to
to
make that
we need to
race.
advertise for that because it's if you're seeing this on Stadium Scene TV, then you missed it, or maybe you did watch it this morning. Yeah, we got to advertise for that. It's a 90-minute one this week.
Yeah, getting ready for the 6 hours at the Glen. Looking like we're probably going to be fielding two teams, a GT3 and a LMP2.
Did they decide on the GT3? What kind?
Not sure yet. Haven't heard. I could see him maybe being in the new vet or the Merc. Don't hold me to that though.
Well, we'll have multiple teams out there, and 6 hours. That's in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, and it is another of the iRacing special events.
Well, I won't be available to broadcast that event, so you'll have to watch this weekend. And plus, Taco wants to do. Hey, Taco, you want to spend 6 hours of your Saturday?
We'll get
No.
an update posted
Yeah,
afterwards.
we'll figure it out. I probably won't, but we will have that Saturday. So tune in Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern for Watkins Glen. Tuesday, come on out and join us for our USF 2000 for this week is Long Beach.
Yeah, Long Beach coming up.
So Long Beach, you do a 45-minute race there at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and
And
last time we threw in a caution halfway through, we'll probably do something similar. Just bunch everybody up. Maybe we can work on some things. We did take the damage off, so if we had issues, we just keep going.
and we had an issue first turn. Oh, yep. That'll be the crash of the week this week.
But
And
that's where it's
then
nice. We can get out, we can do some things, we can just work on our racecraft, and if something goes wrong, it's no big deal.
Oh, well, just get back up and keep going.
Yep. So it's not it's a race, but it's a practice.
It's a race environment. So, oh yeah, Wednesday night dash, Sonoma.
Yeah.
It'll be something.
I may start and park,
it,
see how many cars come out.
I'm at the point, like, I feel like I'm still probably 6 seconds too slow. But it's like, I feel like it's a weird feeling. And I don't know if it's just the comfort level or if it's just the way the truck drives now. But, they always say when you're driving, you always want to be uncomfortable driving because you're uncomfortable because you're pushing the car to the edge of what it can do. And you want to always be on that very fine line that if you push it just a tad more, you're going to be out, you're going to spin out. But if you're too conservative, then you're going to lose time. And I feel like I'm at that at Sonoma where I'm just like, I don't think this thing's capable of any more without me just totally eating it. But yet I still have 6 seconds to make up. So go figure.
Yeah. I'm at that like spot where I'm just close enough potentially for a top 3 on the season. As I do like the final 3 tracks that we have coming up. But at the same point, like, do I want to put myself through 45 minutes of frustration?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be frustrating, but any chance to get out there and get some work in, I'm going to do it. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm probably going to race, but yeah.
And we're coming up in the last couple weeks of our contest. Help me get this thing out of my office. Still got the Tyler Reddick right front fender from the 2023 Bristol Dirt Race. And this could be yours hanging on the wall. Go to frracingonline.com/contest, fill out the form, and this could be yours.
Love to get it sent out to you.
I got to figure out how to package it.
It'd look great on my wall, but I can't put it up.
You are not eligible.
No, I'm not. I want to give that thing away.
That's right. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Take care. We'll see you on Saturday.